everyone, this is Alicia, Opportunity Partners Community Outreach and Advocacy Manager, and I'm happy to bring to you today the May 2016 edition of the Advocates Broadcast. I am so happy to have two very special guests joining me today, Dar and Dan. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Thanks for being here with me today.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
And Dar and Dan are here today to help me talk a little bit about Minnesota's Olmstead Plan. As you may have seen in our 2016 Policy Priorities one-pager or our legislative agenda, Minnesota's Olmstead Plan was one of our most important issues that we wanted to focus on during this 2016 legislative session. Just to give you a little bit of background history about how Minnesota came to have an Olmstead Plan, I want to rewind in time all the way back to 1999.
Ooh.
It was at that time that two women from Georgia, Lois Curtis and Elaine Wilson, were in a state-run regional hospital in Georgia. They were receiving medical treatment there, and after their treatment was completed, medical professionals stated that they were ready to be served in more integrated settings within the community. However, they were not then sent to home and community-based services. They remained in that state-run institution for many, many years before filing a suit, stating that they were unnecessarily segregated in an institutional setting, which therefore was in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Their case went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and as I mentioned, in 1999, the Supreme Court decided that people with disabilities must be supported in the most integrated setting appropriate for their needs. Therefore, we have the Olmstead decision. At that time, Minnesota had really had a long history of focusing on providing people services in the most integrated setting. And so we really didn't develop any type of Olmstead plan that would make sure that we were supporting people in the community until we fast forward then to 2011. At that time, a group of family members of people with very severe disabilities who received services in Minnesota's Extended Treatment Options, or METO, brought a suit against the Minnesota Department of Human Services, stating that their loved ones who were served in METO had been unnecessarily secluded, maltreated, and abused. Judge Donovan Frank presided over the case, and in determining a settlement, he stated that METO must be closed, and additionally, Minnesota had to develop its own Olmstead Plan to make sure that we were in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, to make sure that we were in compliance with the Olmstead decision, and to just make sure that people with disabilities were really integrated in the settings of their choice. The Olmstead Plan then was approved finally after many revisions and many different iterations in August of 2015. And Minnesota's Olmstead Plan has two primary goals, and I'm going to read them to you. The first goal is to increase opportunities for people with disabilities to receive services that best meet their individual needs in the most integrated setting. So you can see that that number one goal is very similar to what the goal was of the original Olmstead decision. The second goal is to improve service delivery to promote a better quality of life. And hopefully that sounds very familiar to you guys because it's very close to OP's own mission statement to advance the quality of life for people with disabilities. So OP is very proud that we have two advocates who are participating in what's called an Olmstead Academy. Dan, can you tell us a little bit about the Olmstead Academy?
Of course. So the Olmstead Academy is a group of classes put on by the Advocating Change Together organization. They collected several providers from across the state to send one staff ally and two self-advocates to a hotel in St. Paul for three two-night stays. And over the course of those 3 stays, we learned a lot about the history of the Olmstead decision. We learned about the incredible work that was done to achieve that success. And we also learned about the where it's going to affect the lives of people who have disabilities, and how it'll hopefully help them integrate more and help them get the best life possible.
Absolutely, and we're very excited about that because, as Dan mentioned, it's groups of, one staff ally, but primarily self-advocates. So the intention is really to empower people with disabilities themselves to live out Minnesota's Olmstead Plan and to educate other people about the plan as well. So Dar, tell us, what has been your favorite part of participating in the Olmstead Academy thus far?
The celebrations that we have.
And describe the celebrations for us.
Well, we had Judge Frank, and we mingled, and there was a lot of our classmates. And we had Armando Camacho came out there,
Yeah?
and he shook my hand. That was an honor.
Oh.
And we had cake, and it was pretty special.
Very cool.
And something worth mentioning is that what was really important, really very interesting about Judge Don and Frank coming to our class was that he then commissioned each of our groups to go forward in creating a plan to help with further integration of people with disabilities in the community.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So one of the primary purposes of the Olmstead Academy, in addition to educating people about Minnesota's Olmstead Plan, is to make sure that each of the groups develops a project. So Dan, can you explain the projects a little bit?
Okay, well, so each group is going to come up with a different project as far as increasing integration in everyday lives of people with disabilities. Our particular plan, we've labeled it Coffee with Cops. What we are hoping to do is have several groups of self-advocates in various areas of the metro served by OP meet up with one particular police officer in whatever areas they live, and have a regular meeting with that officer once a month for 5 to 6 months, and just get to know that officer. They'll go to a cafe somewhere, the officer will join them, and we'll just have the conversation be organic. And the goal there is to increase trust within the disability community with law enforcement, and to also increase understanding with the law enforcement about the disability community. So that way, in any given situation, whether it's a person with a disability feels in danger or they feel lost, they know that now they can approach an officer and they will be able to seek the help they need. And on the flip side, in a situation where perhaps an officer comes upon a person with a disability who may be escalating to some degree, they may recognize, where this might be coming from. They may not then react in a way that they would with someone who may not have a disability.
Are you excited about that?
Yes.
Dara?
Yes, I am.
Why are you excited about that project?
Well, because we're gonna have some trust with the officer, and I have 1 or 2 connections with the police, and it's gonna be a great project for us.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So we should have mentioned that we're filming this month's broadcast at Dar's home, at our Jorgensen House group home. And Dar, is it important for you to feel like a member of your community here where Jorgensen House is located?
Yes, it is, Alicia.
And do you feel like through increased relationships or better relationships with police officers in your neighborhood, you'll feel more safe or more integrated in your community?
Yes.
Wonderful. So we hope that that project will be successful in helping other people feel the same way. So I just really want to thank you guys for taking a moment to be here with us today on this Advocates broadcast. You can find out more information about Minnesota's Olmstead Plan, its various goals, and how it's going to be implemented by just Googling MN Olmstead Plan at the Department of Human Services website. If you have any questions about Minnesota's Olmstead Plan, feel free to contact me as always. And that wraps up this month's Advocates broadcast, guys. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.